Hello, everyone in Great Life Design Mastermind and everyone else who ends up watching this. I'm here today with Shirley Wier, and Shirley Wier is the creator of Menopause Chicks. And what this does is it helps women navigate perimenopause and menopause with confidence and ease. Shirley Wier is on a mission to connect women to unbiased information, to midlife health professionals, and to each other. Through her private online community, as a women's health advocate, Shirley is reframing the menopause conversation from something that has been traditionally viewed as a negative into a milestone worthy of celebration. Shirley hosted the first ever menopause graduation party in 2016 and was a speaker at TEDx Gastown Women this year. Shirley is a 2017 Women of Worth Award recipient. Hi, Shirley. Thank you so much for being with me today and agreeing to this interview.
Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. I'm really excited to have you enlighten my audience, which is predominantly women, I would say, in there's some 20s, but a big portion of my audience, I would say, is in their late 30s to mid 50s.
Perfect.
And so this is a massive conversation that comes up at every retreat I run.
Really?
Yes, everyone's talking about menopause. So,
awesome.
and sharing their personal stories or what they're currently going through. And it comes up in a lot of my coaching conversations because lots of women talk about this is what's occurring in my life right now. So it's very relevant for me to be speaking about it. So can you elaborate more for me on what it is you do, how you do it, and what you offer women?
Sure. Well, first of all, if everyone's, I wanted to be able to say, if everyone's talking about it, then our mission is accomplished. But the reality is I started Menopause Chicks because I felt, we need to crack open the conversation. No one's really talking about it. There's a lot of confusing and conflicting information, especially on the internet, but not exclusively online. We're getting confused by going to our doctors. We're getting confused by what one girlfriend says and another one, right? So it's a big bucket.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big conversation. And the truth is, it's more than just needing to talk about it. So as happy as I am that everyone at your retreat is, being vocal and sharing their stories, I mean, that's really, really key because we need to make sure that everyone understands they're not alone in this journey. And then the next step, and this is what we're at Menopause Chicks, we're really working on right now, is helping women become their own best healthcare advocates. And that's something that we don't ever learn in school. No one ever teaches us, hey, this is how you work with your healthcare professional. This is how you build your healthcare team, or in our case, your midlife healthcare team, right? This is how you can get the best information so that you can get informed and then make the decision that's best for you. So we're to answer your question, I don't think I did very well, but we're an online community that empowers women to navigate perimenopause and menopause with more confidence and ease. Because, we would never send our daughters or our children into, let's say, puberty without the information that they need. So why do we allow ourselves to enter into a brand new phase of life without the information that we need?
Okay, beautiful. I love that. So all of this is on your website, obviously, and all the support that you offer. So can you tell me, what do you think is what's creating the abyss that women aren't talking about it, or they're not getting the right information? How is this happening?
I believe that the abyss has been caused by decades of myths, misconceptions, media portraying women of a midlife age in a certain way, and to a certain degree, the medical community. So this is a natural phase of life. If you peel back the onion, yes, there are challenges, but if you peel back the layers of the onion, it is a natural phase of life that has been medicalized, that has been monetized, And we receive a lot of messages, not just from advertisers, but also from media that report on menopause. I mean, one example that I like to use is if you type menopause or perimenopause into Google, the first page of images that you're going to see are all gray-haired ladies holding fans.
Oh,
right? You know it. When you see that picture, it's a woman in distress. It's a woman holding her head in her hands. She looks very sad. She looks very tired. She looks very distraught. And don't get me wrong, there are many women who are facing challenges like that, but that's not what we look like. That's not the profile picture that we aspire to.
yeah.
Right? So I think that's the abyss for sure.
Do you also think there's not many good stories that are being told about menopause? For example, my mother sailed through menopause.
Right.
And like she was 46. Yeah. I turned 46 next month.
Okay.
I'm still flowing. But I've asked her, like, she goes, oh, I think I maybe had a couple hot flashes, but she goes, I didn't notice the moodiness. You'd have to ask your brothers. and she was like, and part of it too was she had her Reiki master attunement, and it ceased to exist. And it was literally that, it just was gone. And for her, it was a big surrendering of this, oh, my body doesn't have to do this anymore. And I can surrender to my crone years. And she found personally, like, to go a little woo-woo on you, her psychic came online beyond belief at that point. So for me, and not having that example, I'm like, isn't menopause a great waking up?
It's a great waking up. It's a great unfolding. I love the story of your mother. She probably falls into, to the best of our knowledge, 20% of women sail through. And about 20% of women have their worlds rocked upside down. And the rest of us, we transition. So we might have experienced changes, and they might be mild, they might be on some days disruptive, but it's a transition, doesn't last forever. So those are the percentages. And you're right. So we don't hear a lot of stories about your mother's experience. And I think that, there's all this messaging of anti-aging and menopause it's not even a great word. Right? I use it in my branding, but it's not really a great word if you stop and think about it. People immediately think, oh, she's hot, she's old, she's tired, she's moody, right? And we don't spend a lot of time saying she's beautiful, she's wise, she's creative. Midlife shone a big bright light on what she really wanted in life, what she really wanted her vocation or her work to be, what she wanted her relationship to be, how she wanted people to treat her. All of a sudden,
it's almost like what I'm hearing you is this is another label.
Can be.
Yeah.
But it's just, menopause is just one day. I think that's something that we should actually emphasize.
Oh, okay. Can you tell me more about that?
I sure can. So I love to talk about definitions first off. Menopause is one day. It's the 12-month anniversary of your very last period. Perimenopause is actually the transition times. And perimenopause, it's different for everyone, but it can be 5 to 15 years leading up to menopause. So another part of the abyss or the confusion is particularly if you go to your doctor, some doctors even today will say, oh, as long as you still have a period, it's not menopause, which is true. It's not menopause, but you can still be having hormone fluctuations for those 5 to 15 years. So 39, 35, that's about the time that it can start. And it's also the time when many women are having their first child or their second child right now. So, there's a lot going on, and it's confusing.
So what kind of resources are out there? There's your site. And can you tell me a little bit more about, like, how do we get women disseminating the proper information, using the proper language? What do we need to do with all of this?
Sure. So Menopause Chicks is an unbiased community, so we like to meet women where they are. So if they show up and they have, a really great relationship with their doctor, they really want to pursue traditional support, that's great, but they might need, those 3 to 5 questions to take to their next appointment, or they might need an extra place to go and ask questions. We also talk a lot about, what benefits that women can get from working with a naturopath, or paying attention to how they eat, move, and sleep. I mean, don't get me wrong, you don't necessarily need a healthcare professional to support you on this. You can start yourself by just paying attention to how you eat, move, and sleep. You may be interested in what yoga or meditation can do for you, taking care of your stress levels, all of those things. But to answer your question, I think the biggest message in being a women's healthcare advocate is helping women understand that it's up to them to get informed. The answer is not external, as many of the messages want us to believe. Oh, there's a magic wand solution in this bottle, or I did this and it worked like a charm, because your experience is going to be different from mine. And there is no magic wand solution. It's, it's all about getting informed and then realizing that you're not alone, that you can share your story. And there's a lot of support in that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for many women, it's just about, I felt so much better when she said, me too. And then I knew I wasn't alone. This is temporary and I can get through it.
Mm-hmm. Which is kind of the mantra for everything. We just we need to figure out ourselves. We need to possibly find a community to support us.
Yes.
And do what feels right for us, which we've been told for so long that we can't trust ourselves. But what you're saying, thank you.
Yeah. Trust the journey is a big key message, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then celebrate.
Yes.
For goodness sake, there's lots to celebrate. So
yes, beautiful. So I'd love to just ask you some personal questions and dive into some of the stuff with you, because you are this person who's created all this, and you have a massive online community that you interact with, that you advocate for. So I would love to know what your non-negotiables are.
My non-negotiables, I'm raising 2 very busy teenagers. And so probably, at the top of my list is really, watching them play sports that they love and spending time with my family. I mean, that's what brings me joy. The second thing, the thing that I love to do for me is watching Super Soul Sunday. I'm a huge Oprah fan, and there's only one show that I still watch on television, and it's Super Soul Sunday. And it just brought me it's introduced me to so many authors, so many thought leaders, so many different ways of thinking about this, journey we're on called life. So, yeah.
Those are great. Juicy. I like it.
Probably my third non-negotiable, which might be a bit surprising to some of your listeners, is social media and Facebook. I mean, when I think about what I do every day and how I connect personally and professionally, Facebook has been the biggest gift to me. I live 3,000 miles away from my sister and my niece and nephew and family and people that I went to high school with. And, I just love that now the world is so connected. And I think that opinion is opposite to a lot of what we hear sometimes, but it's been really kind to me.
I agree with you. It's made the world smaller, and it's brought people that I never would have spoke to again back into my life.
Yes.
And it's been a beautiful experience. Like people that I've had some really interesting experiences. Like I had someone who she perceived that she bullied me. I forgot she existed, didn't even remember the situation. So this was so telling for me how we are haunted sometimes by our own actions. And the other person, I'm just like, are you sure you have the right person? Like, no, it was you. And I had to even go to my parents and ask them. So she was able to reach me and reach out, and she was able to heal. And I was able to go, wow, okay, thank you. And we got to this beautiful place. So there's so many. And also when I think about would some of us even have our businesses without Facebook?
Well, exactly.
It is really, it's been a beautiful piece of my life as well. And also just even those little things like seeing our nieces and nephews and their musical performances and all these
Yes.
little things that have made us, and it's allowed us to also, you know, connect in interesting ways. It's so funny because the last interview I just did, we talked about how social media, the negatives of it. But this, I love it that we're flipping to the other side and talking about the positives of it, about the connection, how we're able to create community like we never have before. And our community is worldwide now.
Yes.
Like how would I have found Ingrid in Norway or if without this tool? So I'm loving it as well. I love it that you even said, like, it's a non-negotiable. This is where I meet my people and this is where my community resides because it is virtual.
Yeah. And it's that, you know, that thing that I do every day. I was trying to think, what is it that you do absolutely every day? Right.
Oh, and you're right. Like now I'm going, I'm on, like I do take breaks. I have like, and I certainly on the weekends, I put I put everything away and I have presence with my family. But when I go to do my business, everything is about social media.
Yeah.
Oh my, you're so genius. Yes.
I don't know that I am, but
I agree with you completely. Yes, it is. It should be on that list
but I love it. And it doesn't feel like work. So, you know,
this is true.
How great is that?
And isn't that what we all want?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. So if we're talking about, you know, I want to ask you about creativity.
Oh, sure.
You've created this community. You're obvious, like it took some kind of creative spark for you to even create the company. Talk to me about that.
Well, Menopause Chicks was born out of my own experience and my own frustration. And initially, you know, it was an idea that came up at a coffee date with my husband. And I started the blog because he said, just start the blog. And I was like, oh, right, I'll just start it. It'll just be something that no one will read. And the universe is really funny sometimes. And it opened up and kind of said, no, you know, this is an untapped niche because it really is still very, I mean, I think that I'm very proud of sort of the recognition and feedback that Menopause Chicks has gotten and is still getting. And that's not genius. That's just an untapped niche and missing piece in our society is that women are feeling alone. They're suffering in silence. They feel like they're the only one. And there hasn't really been a place to go to that's unbiased, that wasn't underwritten by a brand or a pharmaceutical company or, you know, an expert that's trying to sell something. And there's nothing wrong with those things. People need to provide those services and products, but where can you go? There are places if you want to build a new house or you want to plan your wedding, you know, there's lots of places you can go to get information, but there really wasn't a place for women navigating through this space.
Thank you. I'm just thinking in that, like the expansiveness of that and the thought that, wow, they're really, and you said something earlier that this is tricking through, like everything has been sold about youth. We're being sold that we need to stay youthful. Mm-hmm. So I think even acknowledging it is opening up this wormhole or this box of, hey, maybe we need to go in the conversation of we all age. It's just like everybody poops. We all age.
Yes.
And and why are we in such denial about it? And why as women are we not allowed to? Like I do have friends that go white overnight. Like they're so ready to surrender. And I'm like, I'm not there. I'm sorry. I can't get there. I still want to do my roots. And
oh yeah, do your roots then.
You know, and exactly. That's how I'm going to do what is right for me. But at the same time, it's like, I do question. I go, I get that I've bought into something. I can acknowledge that I know better and I'm doing anyway.
Yes.
And I can see all that and still, so it's like this, I get caught in this space of, okay, I know better, but society's still speaking this. So I'm still in surrender to it. And yeah, I end up in this because we're just on this perpetual fight to stay young.
We've all been there. I think it's really important what you said is that the recognition. So if I have a message to give, it's really about, you know, helping women recognize when it's not making the right sense for them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you walk into a store and there is a bottle there and it says all natural will cure all of your menopause symptoms, and I don't even use the word symptoms, I use the word experiences because it's not a disease.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say we've all seen those bottles, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's nothing all natural about something that's manufactured and put in a plastic bottle and sold on a shelf. So all natural is a term invented by marketers. And I know this because I've been a marketer for 30 years. Same with anti-aging. Anti-aging actually means you're dead. So if you see an ad that's selling you something for anti-aging, stop and think about that. What does that mean? If you are no longer aging, it means you are no longer breathing.
Thank you.
Right?
Wow. Yes.
So it's just about, and we are not going to solve that. It's just I think it's our responsibility to call out the people when they get it wrong.
And also just to wake up. Like for me, you even saying that, oh yeah, like, of course. Yes, like just the acknowledgement of that. I cannot wait to share this video and say there's some profound messages in here around what we're seeing.
Yeah, there's lots of terms that we take in for years and years and years without questioning. And maybe that's the gift I've been given for menopause, is that, oh, now I get it, that I'm not buying into that. And, as a result, I end up watching, as I mentioned, less television. I end up reading fewer magazines. And it doesn't mean that I should unsubscribe. I really should be, writing more letters to the editor, right? Mm-hmm. And saying, have you thought about it this way? I mean, that's...
The what you just said around the symptoms, because it's not a disease, it's an experience, that was profound for me.
Okay.
Because we, in so many other realms as well.
Yes.
We use this medical terminology for things that are not medical.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, good.
I would like to ask you also, what makes, I think this is going to be a good question for you. What makes you righteously indignant?
You mean besides the marketing language? Well, lately it's been magazines and the stories that they tell about hormone fluctuation, perimenopause, and menopause. And so if I can share a quick story with you.
Please.
I was in Toronto last summer with my 13-year-old daughter. At the airport, I picked up one of my favorite magazines. I was sitting in the middle seat. I actually thought to myself, oh, this might be a kind of a story that I will share with my daughter. The cover shouted, "Hooray for hormones." And I thought, oh, this is going to be a positive story about midlife. And then maybe I'll share it with Kira. And when I got inside the magazine, the image, it said, those decades thing, this is what's going to happen to you in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. So the image for 30s was a fat Pillsbury dough girl. Basically said your metabolism slows down and you gain weight in your 30s. In your 40s, there was an image of a woman with a colander, the kind that you drain your spaghetti with, as her head, which basically said you lose your mind. And I was 6 months away. At the time I got this magazine, I was 6 months away from turning 50. So I couldn't, imagine turning the page to find out what was going to happen to me. And the image for 50s was a sponge cutout of a woman who had peed her pants. And I was so angry and frustrated that this is the editorial feature of one of my favorite magazines. And that's what makes me indignant, is that we have this, my generation, our generation has a right to speak up and call that media out, because this isn't the profile picture that I want for midlife. And it's certainly not the profile picture that my daughter wants to inherit.
No. Or that programming. Oh, so I'm assuming you wrote a letter to the editor of your favorite magazine.
I tweeted, I wrote letters.
Did you get a response? I'm really curious. Did you get a response?
Not yet.
Wow.
But I'm still on the path.
Okay.
Yeah, I won't give that up.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for not giving that up, because yes, those things that I think that are sparked in it. And that's why I love asking this question to women that really get us. Those are those triggers. They're for us. They're for us to make some change and I use the word alchemize, like they're there for us. We're supposed to alchemize something in that system.
That's a great word. I like that.
Thank you. And I think that's our work. Like, you've taken the stand, you've created this community, and thank you for the advocacy is what I say from woman to woman. What do you wish all women knew?
Oh, I wish all women knew that they weren't alone, that they're not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I recently had an opportunity to raise some awareness around preventing violence against women through the YWCA. And when I posted about that in the Menopause Chicks community, women sent me private Facebook messages, like trusting me with their story. Like, it's so overwhelming and amazing to me that we have come so far, but yet we still have such a significant part of our society who are suffering in silence, that haven't found the community, that haven't found a place that they can feel comfortable in and reach out to know that we've got your back. We've got each other's back.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It was so interesting. Another question that I sometimes ask people is, how do you think we can overcome the divide that exists between women and come into sisterhood? Which I sometimes ask this and I don't, but I think this is a great question for you. Like, what is creating this divide? How do we come together?
It probably comes down to a word that I just started using when I launched Menopause Chicks, and that is vulnerability. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. You need to exercise the vulnerability muscle to share your story, and you also have to be vulnerable in order to create space and listen to other people sharing their story.
Mm-hmm. What I've been talking about lately is being that responsible witness to each other, like just being so respectful in the witnessing of each other. And because we don't often witness, we tend to wait for the turn to talk, or our brains are going so fast that we're thinking of the next question. And which has actually been interesting coming into, I'm starting all these interviews for this site, and I'm like, oh, I have to be so present. And then I'm having to take a minute to go, oh yeah, and what am I doing now? Because I've been in this like total like cycle of okay, what is a respectful witness? How do we do this? How do I stay so present with you that nothing else exists in this moment so that we can process? And what I've witnessed in that, even like, so I've been in conversation at the school with one person, like very focused on them, and people going by, like trying to get my attention or feeling like I should be looking up and acknowledging, but refusing to leave this cone.
Yeah.
And then later their reaction to me, like, why didn't you acknowledge my presence? Curiously enough, I'm really fascinated by this.
Yeah, I'm really fascinated by language too, and how impactful that can be. Like you said, in our community, we see it a lot of the time. Someone will share their story, and then someone will come on and share theirs. And the instinctiveness of wanting to do that doesn't mean that you are trying to one up them. Mm-hmm. It is somebody trying to exhibit their compassion. Mm-hmm. But if you dial it back and simply say, I understand, or I hear you. It's probably a better choice. Fewer words sometimes have this greater impact than we can ever imagine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to be so present that I'm hearing everything you're saying. Yeah. And I could just sit. And well, one of the interesting things too is about being able to just sit too in the discomfort of things is, I think, important as well, where you've shared and I can feel triggered in me, or I am recognizing that, or I've had a similar experience, and I can just sit in that and be like, whoa, this is really uncomfortable and discombobulating in my system to have held this for you. but really holding it means just being with it.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good reminder. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And not easy. It's a practice. Like, because we're asked to, okay, I'm going to be uncomfortable again and again and again. And depending on what our vocations are and what we do in this world, we may have lots of moments like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But the opposite is not a better solution either. So we have to find comfort in that discomfort. I remember one of the early quotes on Menopause Chicks. I forget. It's like, we tell 6,000 lies a day or some number like that. And one of them is, I'm fine.
I was like, oh, she's going to say it.
Oh, okay. So I probably didn't, I messed up the quote, but yeah.
No, I knew where you were going. Yeah.
And I do think about that every time. I'm like, oh, it's great. Oh, I'm fine. Oh, how was your day? It was fabulous. It's just what people want to hear. That's not the truth.
Well, and also, why are we asking the question? Like the small talk. And I notice how, introvert nature, how sometimes I'm just so insular and like staying in my car,
right.
Looking straight forward. And then I go to my yoga class and I'm reminded to be present for others and to just spread my love. And I'm just like, I just don't know if I can do that today. And having those moments and just being honest. So like, there's this obligatory. So I do find this is interesting because I used to be that person who, maybe I still am sometimes, who like was always looking around, acknowledging and things like that. And I find myself more in a bubble late sometimes. Maybe this is, I don't know what it is, around like, okay, I'm not feeling like I want to have the small talk. So instead I'll just turn the other way.
Right.
And not say hello in the grocery store. Cause either I want to go deep or not go at all sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's just me. And it's nothing against these other humans. It's just like, today I crave this and I'm not going to do this, so it's not that I'm going to be rude, but it's just, my guts are telling me, I just don't want to do this today.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We have so much energy in our accounts and we get to choose where we spend it.
Ooh, thank you. Yes, that. Mm-hmm. And moms being busy women. Yeah, a lot of it goes there.
Yeah. And taking that 5 minutes of silence in the car is a really good thing.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Shirley. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners? First of all, where can they find you and how can we get in touch with you? All that stuff.
Sure. So we're at menopausechicks.com. Most of the conversation is on our private Facebook community, which you can just search for Menopause Chicks private online community. And we're on all social media at Menopause Chicks. So I look forward to cracking open the conversation with you.
Awesome. So I'm going to just end the call now for all our listeners. Thank you so much for listening and have a fantastic day. And really, I think the message that I think I would love to leave that I've learned from you is like really paying attention to our language around things, around how we're marketed to, these preconceived notions that have been plugged into us that aren't truth around menopause or around anything for that matter. And really start to question the marketing of things. I know I'm going to pay more attention to what I'm reading and seeing from this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks so much.